Hello everyone, welcome to iQuanta. My name is Nitin. I'm sure all of you are doing great. Guys, this is the fifth video of percentages. In the last video of percentages, we had discussed about percentage change in detail. Now we are going to discuss successive percentage change, following the percentage change concept. Alright, so let's start with this concept. So guys, as the name suggests, successive percentage change means there will be two or more percentage change are going to occur, right? So what actually happens, you can say in the first change, the final value of the first change becomes the initial value for the next change. All right, let me explain you with the help of an example. Suppose I'm taking an example in which there is first 10% is increasing, all right, and then again 10% is being increasing. All right, so how do we solve this, guys? Suppose we have to find out that what is the overall percentage change in this case. So there can be a lot of ways of doing this, right? I would like to tell you the most basic method to find the overall percentage change in this. What can be this? Let's say, guys, the initial value is 100. All right, the initial value is nothing but 100. First it is increasing by 10%. So now what is 10% of 100? Very obvious, 10% of 100 is also 10, right? Okay, let me write 10% as well. Right, this is being increased by 10%, right? So what is 10% of 100? That is also 10. So 110 when increases by 10, it becomes 100 when increases by 10 becomes 110. We can just say that, right? Now, as I said that the final value of the first change will become the initial value for the second change, right? So the final value of the first change is 110. That must become the initial value for the second change. And now again it is increasing by 10%. So what we can say here, 110 is now increasing by 10%. 10% of 110 is basically 11, right? Now 110 increases by 11, so become 121. All right, so guys, finally we can say the final value is 121, where the initial value is 100, right? So overall the increment is how much? You can see that the overall increase is 21 over here, right? Now we need to find the percentage change, or you can say percentage increase, right? So what should be the percentage increase? Because it is increase, I'm calling it percentage increase, right? So percentage increase is, all right, basically percentage increase is what? That increment is what? Percentage of initial value. Increment here is 21, initial value is 100, that's it. Increment is 21, initial value is 100, so we can say this is nothing but 21%. So overall this is how we can say there is an increase of 21%. All right, now there's one more thing we can discuss. We can also find it out that how do we relate initial values and final values with the help of the percentages given to us, right? Or you can say with the help of the series of percentage change given to us. Okay, so first of all you can see that the value is increasing by 10%, right? So whenever a value is increasing by 10%, the multiplication factor is what? 1 plus the fraction conversion of 10%. Fraction conversion of 10% is 1 by 10. So 1 plus 1 by 10 is 11 by 10, right? This is what we had discussed in the previous video as well. So the multiplication factor has to be 11 by 10. Now this must be the final value of the first change and should become the initial value for the second change now, right? So this is the initial value of the second change. That means now the multiplication factor should be multiplied to this value, right? And what is the multiplication factor for the second change? Now second change is also 10% is increase. So the multiplication factor for the 10% is increase is again 11 by 10. So we'll be multiplying 11 by 10 to the initial value of the second change, which is this one, right? Okay, so now we can say this is finally the final value after both the changes. And now we just know that whenever there is so many terms are multiplying, there is no importance of the bracket, so we can remove that bracket sign as well, right? So let's remove the bracket sign, and we can say what? That initial value into 11 by 10 into 11 by 10 has to be the final value, right? Simple as this. So this is how we can also relate initial values and final values by the help of this series given to us. All right, now what next? Let us take a few more examples, right, guys? So the second example, I'll take in this. Let's say this time 10% first is being decreasing, and then again 10% is being decreasing. So let's find out that what will be the overall percentage change in this case. All right, so let's say again the initial value is 100, right? That is always easy to explain the things. Whenever we take the initial value 100 or any multiple of 100, it's always easy to understand the things. That's why I'm taking 100, right? Okay, now again 10% is decreases. So what is 10% of 100? That will be 10, right? So 100 when decreases by 10 will give us 90. Okay, let's say again it is decreasing by 10%, right? So what is 10% of 90? We can say 10% of 90 is 9. So 90 decreasing by 9 will give us 81, all right? So guys, overall we can say, you know, the final value is 81 and the initial value is 100, right? So what is the value decreasing overall? So overall this value is decreasing by 19, right? And the initial value is 100. So what should be the percentage change here? Percentage change, or you can call it percentage decrease, because anyways we can see it is, you know, decreasing. So the percentage decrease, we can say it should be how much? See, decrement is 19, initial value is 100, so 19 out of 100 will give us, you know, 19%. All right, okay. So this is how we found, you know, percentage decrease in this percentage change series as well. And we can also, you know, relate initial values and final values. So let's say guys, you know, initial value is here. So what should be the first multiplication factor? Since there is 10% decrease, so 1 minus 1 by 10 give us 9 by 10, right? The multiplication factor. Second change is also, you know, 10% is decrease. So again the multiplication factor is 9 by 10. It should be the final value for us, right? Okay, the bracket we do not need to write. As I told you in the last example, the bracket has no importance. So this time, you know, we are not writing the bracket at all. All right, let's move ahead, guys. Example number 3, similarly, all right, if I take it, so we can say, let's say this time, you know, I'm taking 3 changes. First, 10% is increase, again, you know, 10% is increase, and again 10% is increase. So let's see what do we get with the help of that, right? Okay, this time we have, you know, 3 changes, right? So initial value, in the initial value, if we take 3 zeros, that will be always easy to calculate the things, right? So what I'm doing, I'm taking initial value with 3 zeros. Let us say this is, you know, 1000, all right? Let's assume as 1000, okay? Now first increasing by 10% is, so what is 10% of 1000? It has to be 100, right? Okay, 1000 increases by 100 should give us 1100, very basic, right? Okay, fine. Again guys, remember the final value after the first change becomes initial value for the second change. So now the initial value is 1100. Let's increase this by 10% now, all right? So this will give us how much? 1100 increasing by 10%. 10% of 1100 is 110, right? So this should increase by 110. So 1100 plus 110 should give us 1210, all right? Now again it should increase by 10% because this time, you know, 3 10% are there in the series, okay? So now 10% is increasing of 1210. 10% of 1210 is obviously 121, okay? Increasing 1210 by 121 will give us, we can say 1331, you know. 10 plus 21 is 31, 12 plus 1 is 13. So we can say this time the final value is 1331 and the initial value is 1000, right? Let's see what is the overall change. The overall change you can see is basically 331, all right? And let's count, let's find the percentage change, or you can say percentage increase. It should be how much? See guys, overall increment is 331, right? And the initial value is 1000. Okay, so we can say this is 331 upon 1000. Okay, we have to find percentage change. We can multiply by 100 as well if we want. Okay, so 331 by 1000 into 100, it's 331 by 10, which we can also say as, you know, 33.1% increase. So overall we can say that there is an increase of 33.1% in this particular example. Okay, suppose you have to write, you know, the multiplication factor thing. So what can we write here? Okay, so let's say okay, first there is 10% increase, so multiplication factor is 11 by 10, right? Again there is 10% increase, so let's call it 11 by 10 once again, right? And again there is 10% increase, so again 11 by 10, right? Okay, and this is how we can get, you know, the final value. So this is how, you know, we can relate initial value and final value. Okay, this relation is also important, which I'm discussing, you know, in every example. This relation actually going to help us in the cases when we have to find the initial values. Remember the last class I told you this, that we use the multiplication factor method especially when we have to find the initial values, all right? So this is why I'm, you know, explaining this method as well in all the examples. All right, so I took 3 examples to make you understand about, to make you, you know, to give you some basic knowledge about the successive percentage change. Now, you know, I have been finding the overall percentage change with the assumption method, right? But there is a formula as well. Let me tell you the formula first, and then we'll be discussing more about that, right? So what is the formula? Guys, the formula says that if, you know, a number, let's say, changes by X percentage, all right, and then changes by, let's say, Y percentage, all right. Okay, let's call it A and B, because in a lot of material you will find this formula as AB formula. That's why I'm changing X and Y to A and B. Let's say first a number is changing by A percentage, and then it changes by B percentage, right? So now what will happen next? So we can actually find the overall percentage change directly with the help of a formula. Let me write the formula first. What I said, if a number changes by A percentage and then it changes by B percentage, so overall it will change by all right, the formula is what? A plus B plus AB by 100 percentage, right? So overall it will change by A plus B by AB percentage. Now it's not as simple as it looks like. We have to follow some conditions to use this formula. See guys, let's say if the change is an increment, right? Let's say the A percent is increment, okay, then we put the sign positive for the percentage value given, okay. There will be positive sign. But if we say that A percentage is being decreases, right? If any of the percentage, it's either A or B. If it is increasing, then we take its positive value. If it is negative, it is decreasing, then we take its negative value, right? For example, if we go back, remember guys, the very first example which we had done, 10% increase and 10% increase again, right? So if we have to solve this with the help of this formula, then how should we do that? Okay guys, we can say the value of A is 10, it's increasing, so we'll call it plus 10, all right. Now B is also 10% increment, it's increment, so we will give it plus 10. Now what will be the overall change, right? So overall change is, remember the formula, A plus B plus AB by 100. I just wrote in the other slide. Okay, so A is 10, we say that, B is also 10 plus AB upon 100. A is also 10, B is again 10 by 100, right? Okay, let's see how much we get here. So we can say 10 plus 10, 20. This is 10 into 10 is 100, 100 by 100 is 1. So we can say this is 20 plus 1 percentage, or we can say this is 21 percentage in all. Now guys, in the final result you see the sign of a plus, right? So whenever in the final value the sign is of plus, that means overall percentage is being increased. We can just say that, right? Overall, there is a plus sign in the end, that means it is being increases, and you can just see that what we had done previously in that also, it is being increased, right? So there is 21% increase, however you solve this particular example. Okay, let's do the same in the second example. Now in this case guys, both the percentages are being decreases, right? So here, when the percentage is being decreased, okay, so I said that we take the sign of negative, right? So we can say A this time is minus 10, because this time this is getting decreases, right? Okay, B is also minus 10 because this is also decreasing, all right? So the overall change, if we use a formula, right? So the formula was A plus B plus AB into 100. A this time is minus 10, B is also minus 10 plus AB upon 100, right? So A is again minus 10, B is minus 10 upon 100, right? So this is the formula this time we have, all right? Okay, now if you try to simplify this, so minus 10 is minus 20, all right? Minus into minus is plus, so 10 into 10 is 100, 100 upon 100 is just 1. So minus 20 plus 1 will give us minus of 19, all right? So it is coming minus 19. So as I told you guys previously, in the result also, if there is plus sign, so that means it is overall increasing. And if in the result there is minus sign, that means overall it is decreasing. So we can say overall it is decreasing by 19% this time, because the sign is of minus in the end. We all can see that, right? Okay, so this is how we can use this formula. Now this method is, you can say the formula is not, this can also be used, but there are some problems guys. What is the problem here with the formula? This formula can be used only in case of 2% changes, right? So what will happen if we have more than 2% changes? All right, so I told you one example when we had 3% changes, right? So what will we do if we have 3% changes? Can we use a formula or we cannot? We can use a formula, but we have to use a formula multiple times. Let me show you how, all right? So this time guys, you see that this value is increasing by 10%, 3 times. So we can say A is equal to plus 10 because increasing. B is also plus 10, right? And let's assume this, C for a while, the third change is C plus 10, all right. Okay, first applying, the AB formula only in the first two changes, right, which is 10, 10. And we know what do we do, right? We have done this before in the first example as well. 10% is increasing, so plus 10 obviously, plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 into 10 by 100, A plus B plus AB by 100, the same formula. And that's gonna give us how much, this will be 1, 20 plus 1 we can say is 21% is increase in all, right? Okay, so now what will happen? See guys, the result here, whatever the result is coming, 21% increase, right? That will be taken with this, the third change. And now we apply the AB formula in these two values, all right? So let us call for a while that this value is, D, all right? Let's call this that D is plus 21 because this is increase. We'll call it, we'll represent it with the positive sign. Okay, let's call it D is plus 21 and C is here 10, right? And now we'll be applying the AB formula finally again in these two values, okay? That means, let's say A is this and B is this, and applying the AB formula again with these two values, all right? So what do we get? Okay, A, let's say, is 21 this time, B is 10 this time, plus AB, A is again 21, B is 10 upon 100, right? Let's see what do we get, right? So 21 plus 10 is 31, and this is, 210 upon 100 is 2.1, all right? So 31 plus 2.1 is 33.1, and you see that finally the sign is in percentage. That means overall also, it is increasing by 33.1%, right guys? This is being increasing. And whatever we had done previously, that time also we were getting the same result, that overall it is increasing by 33.1%, and here also, we're getting the same, that it is increasing by 33.1%. So guys, you can see that we can use the formula in 3 changes as well, but we have to use this formula multiple times, all right? So that's why I will usually not suggest to use the formula, but the final choice is always yours. You can solve the question either by this method, by the formula, or you can solve the question by the assumption methods, right? So this formula basically will be using to find, you can say either to find the final value or to find the overall percentage change. But to find the initial value, the best method is always the, the method of the multiplication factor, right? Which I had explained you in the beginning. This one, right? And the second example is this one, and in the third example is this one. All right, so this is, these are some, you can say explanation. This is some explanation of successive percentage change, but we are going to discuss a few more things, and then, we'll start doing a few problems as well. All right, let me do the remaining, concepts over here. Now guys, let's say if I'm taking an example again, let's say a value is first increasing by 10%, right? Or let's say it's, increasing by 20%, just for a change. Okay, let's say first it is increasing by 20%, and then it is decreasing by 10%, all right? Now we need to find the overall percentage change on this particular example. So again, I'll do what? I'll not use the formula right now. I'll just do the assumption method, okay? Let's say the initial value is 100, okay? First increasing by 20%. So what is 20% of 100? Guys, the 20% of 100 is also 20, all right? So 100 increasing by 20 will give us 120, right? Now it is decreasing by 10%, so 120 decreasing by 10% is 10% of 120 we can say is 12, all right? So 120 decreasing by 12, we can say it is 108, all right? So this we can say is overall the final value. Okay, so initial value is 100, the final value is 108, overall increasing by 8. Now let's see what is the overall percentage change in this example. So guys, overall percentage change, very obvious. The change is 8, the initial value is 100. I don't think we need to talk more about this. 8 is what percentage of 100 is? Obviously 8%. So overall we can say it is increasing by 8%, right? Very simple. Okay, now if we do the same in terms of multiplication factor, so what do we get? So guys, first increasing by 20%, so 20% increase, the multiplication factor is 6 upon 5, we all know that, right? Then 10% is decrease, the multiplication factor is 9 upon 10, all right? Okay, and that gives us the final value in all. Okay guys, now I would like to take one more example of similar type, okay? Let's say this time the initial value is, the percentage change series is first decreasing by 10% and then increasing by, 20%, right? First decreasing by 10% and then increasing by 20%. Okay guys, let us say the initial value is 100. Okay, let's assume the initial value is 100. Fine. First, this is decreasing by 10%. So what is 10% of 100? 10% of 100 is also 10. So 100 decreasing by 10 gives us, we can say, 90. Okay, let me write this slightly, above. Okay. All right. Let me write this again. Let's say initial value is 100. Okay. First, decreasing by 10% is, so what is 10% of 100? We can say 10% of 100 is 10, right? So 100 decreasing by 10 gives us 90, obviously. Then it is now increasing by 20%. So what is 20% of 90? 20% of 90 is, we can say, 18. 90 increasing by 18 gives us 108. All right. Okay, that we can say is the overall, the final value. All right, guys. So initial value is 100, the final value is 108. So overall change here is again, the increment of 8. And what should be the percentage change or percentage increase? So guys, increment is 8, initial value is 100. So obviously the percentage change is also 8%, right? And what about the, relation between initial and final values? So initial value into the multiplication factor. First, 10% is decrease, so multiplication factor is 9 by 10, all right. Then 20% is increase, so multiplication factor is 6 upon 5, right? So this is the final value in all. All right, guys. So I, took 2 examples to make you understand a few things, all right. So guys, you see that what is happening in these 2 examples? The final result is being the same. In the first case, 8% is increase. In the second case, also 8% is increase. Do you know why? Because in both of these examples, the percentage changes are taken same, 20% increase, 20% increase, 10% is decrease, 10% is decrease. The only difference is what? I've just, changed the order of the percentage terms, right? I just changed the order of these percentage changes. Rest the terms are the same, with the same, nature of changes, mean 20 increase, 20 increase, 10 decrease, 10 decrease. So guys, what we learned here, that even if we change the order of the percentage changes, the final result or the final percentage change is always the same, right? In fact, you can see the same with the help of the multiplication factors as well. See, this is 6 by 5, 6 by 5, this is 9 by 10, this is 9 by 10. So guys, either you call it 2 into 3 or you call it 3 into 2, they both are obviously 6, right? So this thing will happen, this thing you can say is applicable here as well. From here you can also understand the overall percentage is going to be the same even if we change the order of the percentage terms in the successive percentage change series. All right. So this is something which you can use also, in some kind of questions. By using this, we can actually avoid some lengthy calculation in a certain kind of question. So you should remember this important point as well, right, in terms of solving some kind of questions. All right, moving ahead. So that was, a few points. Now, one more thing I would like to explain you before we, proceed to some questions, right? Okay, let's do that here. Okay, suppose guys, first, oh, I think I had mentioned that, with a theory, right? So it says what? When a number increases by X percentage force and then decreases by X percentage, then the overall the number will decrease by always X squared by 100%. What is that? That is also a successive percentage in series with, you can say, 2 changes only, right? So what is happening? First increases by X percent and then decreases by the same percentage, right? X. But first increasing and then decreasing, or you can change the order as well, as I just told you before. First you can say decreasing and then we can say increasing. That also is the same. So overall the number will always decrease by X squared by 100%. Let me explain you this with the help of an example, right? Suppose guys, there is a value which is first increasing by 20%, right? And then decreasing by 20%, right? So let's justify this result with this example, increasing 20 and decreasing 30, all right? So according to the formula, by the way, what should be the result? According to the formula, if you put X as 20, right? So it will give us 20 squared upon 100%, upon 100, right? And this should be percentage, decrease as it is mentioned, right? Decreases by 20%. Okay, so 20 squared by 100, 20 squared is 400. 400 upon 100 is 4. So that means in this case, the value should decrease by 4% overall, according to this, you can say concept. Now let's justify this in this example, right? By the help of the example, let's see is it really correct or not, right? Okay, so again, how do we do this? With the assumption method. Let's say the initial value is 100. Okay, first increasing by 20% is, all right, so 20% of 100 is just 20, right? 100 increasing by 20 becomes 120. Now this is decreasing by 20%. So what is 20% of 120? That gives us 24. So 120 now decreases by 24, gives us 96, right? So this we can say is the overall final value. Initial value is 100, final value is 96. So overall, this is decreasing by 4, we can just say that, right? So what should be the percentage change? One thing is sure that this is decreasing. Now what is a percentage decrease? We can say percentage decrease is decrement what percentage of initial value, which is 100. Very obvious, this is 4% is decrease. Now you can see that this is actually matching, right? 4% is 4%. This has to be correct. Obviously, either use this formula or you use this logic, this assumption method. This will always be correct, that the overall change will be 4% is decrease, or you can say x squared upon 100% is decrease. All right, so this is also one of the very interesting case. We will also use this in a certain kind of questions, right? Okay, now guys, let's start a few applications on these concepts, right? So the very first application is that the profit of a company increases by 25% from 2020 to 2021 and decreases by 40% from 21 to 22, and again increases by 16.66% from 22 to 23. Okay, find the percentage change in the profit of the company from 2020 to 2023. So this is a perfect example of percentage, successive percentage change series, right? First increasing by 25%, then decreasing by 40%, and then again increasing by 16.66%. Find the overall percentage change. So either we can use the method of, you can say assumption, or we can use a method of formula, but guys, there are 3 changes, right? So it will always be a problem in using the formulas, right? Because you have to use the formula twice in case of 3 changes, thrice in case of 4 changes, and so on. And one more method we can use is the method of multiplication factor as well. Okay, I'll tell you that method as well. Because guys, in future we are going to use, we are going to find the percentage change with the help of multiplication factor as well. So we need to learn that also, right? Okay, so let's start this. Let's first solve with the help of the assumption, right? Okay, so let me write what is happening here. From 2020 to 2021, all right. The value is increasing by how many percentage? It is increasing by 25%. All right. Okay. We do not know the value in 2020. This is 21. This is 22, and let's say this is 23. Okay. Now this is increasing by 25%, right? The next year, next change is it is decreasing by 40%. All right. And in the next year, it is increasing by, we can say, 16.66%. Okay, now what? So guys, 25%, is actually 1 upon 4 in fraction. We all know that, right? 40% we can say is 2 upon 5 in fraction, right? And last, 16.66% is 1 upon 6 in fraction, right? So we should assume the initial value in such a way that it should be, the multiple of the denominators of all these fractions to make the calculation easy, right? Okay, so denominator of all these fractions are 4, 5, and 6. All right. So the initial value should be, you can say, the common multiple of all of them, right? So 4 and 5, actually 100 is also the multiple of 4 and 5. So that's not a problem. Actual problem will create this fraction where the denominator is 6. So let's say the initial value is a multiple of 6 as well. Let's consider it as 600. Okay, 600 is a multiple of 4, 5, and 6, all of them. So let's say the initial value is rupees 600. Since it's a profit, right? Let's consider rupees 600. Now increasing by 25%, right? So 25% means 1/4 of 600 is 150. Okay, increasing by 150, 600 becomes 750. All right, just a sec. 750. Let me write that. Now next year it is decreasing by 40%, right? 40% is, you can also call it 2 by 5, or you can just say 10 into 4%, right? Or 4 into 10%. 10% of 750 is 75. 75 into 4 is 300. So decreasing by 300, right? So guys, 750 decreasing by 300 should be, we can say 450. All right. Now 450 is again increasing by 16.66%, and 16.66% we can say 1 upon 6. All right, so 1 upon 6 of 450 will give us 75 actually, right? So now 450 increasing by 75 give us 525. Okay, so this is the initial value, and this we can say is overall the final value in year 2023. Okay, now we have to find the overall percentage change. All right, so overall change is how much, guys? You can say the overall change from 600 to 525 is basically rupees 75. All right, but we have to find the percentage change. So what should be the percentage change? Okay, one thing is sure, this is decreasing, right? We can say what? Okay, decreasing bin is 75 and initial value is 600. So we have to find that 75 is what percentage of 600, right? Multiply by 100 since it is percentage change. Okay, so 100, you know, cancel. So 75 by 6. Now we're 75 by 6. If you try to simplify, it will give us 12.5%. As you know, 6 into 12 is 72. 6 into 0.5 is 3. So this is 12.5% is decrement in all. So this is one of the ways of doing this kind of question, right? Now there is one more way I would like to tell you, that the second method is a method of, you can say, multiplication factor, which you can use in these kind of questions as well. All right, but how? All right, guys, let me write the things over here. All right, so what happened first, let's say the price in 2020 is P20. Okay, so first this is increasing by 25%. So what should be the multiplication factor? 25% is 1 by 4. Increment, so 1 plus 1 by 4 gives us 5 by 4. All right, so price in 2020 into 5 by 4 is the price in 2021. But from 21 to 22, decreasing by 40%, right? 40% is 2 by 5. Decrement, that means 1 minus 2 by 5 gives us 3 by 5. So multiplying by 3 by 5. All right. Then again it is increasing by 16.66%. 16.66% is 1 by 6. Increment, that means 1 plus 1 by 6 is 7 by 6. All right, this, guys, finally we can say is the profit of the company in 2023. All right, so now let's simplify this a bit. 5 got cancelled out, right? 3 2s is 6. All right, so what we are left with? We are just left with 7 in the numerator, right? And denominator is 4 into 2, that means 8. So we can say price of 2020 into 7 by 8 is the price in 2023. Okay, so now we have to find the overall percentage change in the profit of the company from 2020 to 2023. So guys, in this change also 2020 is the initial value and 2023 is the final value, obviously. Now remember, multiplication factor is what? Multiplication factor is something which is multiplied to the initial value to get the final value. All right, and in this case 2020 profit is initial value and 23 profit is the final value. So guys, luckily initial value is multiplied by 7 by 8 to get us the final value. That means this should be the multiplication factor in this percentage change, right? This should be the multiplication factor in this particular percentage change. Now multiplication factor is 7 by 8, that means it is less than 1. It means this is definitely the percentage decrease, right? Now how do we find the multiplication factor in case of percentage decrease? We used to say 1 minus the fraction conversion of the percentage decrease, right? So let's write it in the form of 1 minus. Okay, see, 7 by 8 we can say is 1 minus 1 by 8, right? That means 1 by 8 is the fraction conversion of the percentage decrease here, right? And by the way, 1 by 8 is a fraction conversion of which percentage? We all know that it is the fraction conversion of 12.5%, right? I'm sure all of you know that, right? So we can say simply that there is overall decrease of 12.5% because there is a sign of minus, right? So yes, we can say the profit of 2023 is 12.5% is less than the profit of 2020, and this is how we can also say the answer of this problem has to be 12.5% is decrease. All right, let me write this here. Overall we can say that profit is decreasing by 12.5%, and this is how we can solve this wonderful question, right? You can use any of these two methods, whichever you like. All right, in this particular case the better method is the first one, right? Because we just have to use the values, and you can avoid writing at a lot of places as well, right? But this method also we should know, because this is also can be useful in a certain type of questions. All right, this is why I told you the second method as well. Okay, let's try to look at the second question now. The second question says that the expenses of a company increases by 28.56% from 2018 to 2019, and then decreases by 11.11% from 2019 to 2020, and then again decreases by 22.22% from 2020 to 2021. All right, find the expenses of the company in 2018 if its expenses in 21 is rupees 24 lakh. Alright guys, so initial, the changes started from 2018, and the final year where the story ends is 2021, alright. So we can say 2018 should be the initial value, right? The expenses of the company in 2018 should be the initial value, and the expenses of the company in 21 should be the final values. This is what we can say here, right? Okay, and you can see that they have given the expenses in 2021 of the company. That means they have given the final value to us. This is something given, all right? And they have asked the expenses in 2018. That means they're asking the initial value, all right? So this is the question where everything is given. We have to find the initial value, and we have done this in the previous session as well, that whenever we have to find the initial value, we should use the method of multiplication factor. That will be the best, method, right, in terms of finding the initial value. So let's do that, guys, right? Okay, so what is happening here? The situation starts from 2018, the expenses in 2018, right? Okay, from 2018 to 19, increasing by 28.56. What is 28.56%, guys? This is double of 14.28%, right? 14.28% is 1 by 7, double of this is 2 by 7, increasing by 2 by 7, that means, 1 plus 2 by 7, and the multiplication factor is 9 by 7, right? Okay. Second case, guys, from 19 to 20, decreasing by 11.11%, right? Okay, 11.11% is 1 by 9, decreasing, that means 1 minus 1 by 9 is 8 by 9, so multiplying by 8 by 9 here, all right? Now, 2020 to 2021, decreasing again by, 22.22%. So, guys, 22.22 is, also the double of 11.11, a multiple of 11.11. So, we can say this is, 2 into 11.11%, or you can say 2 by 9. Decreasing by 2 by 9, so multiplication factor is 1 minus 2 by 9. That means 7 by 9, right? So, 9 by 7 into 8 by 9 into 7 by 9. Okay, just a second. And this finally we can say is, the overall expense of the company in 2021, right? And that value we also, we are also given to how much? Given to us rupees 24 lakhs. All right. So now, guys, by the help of this, we just have to find the expense in 2018. It's very easy after doing this. Okay, guys, luckily 7 cancel, 9 also cancel, right? So this is, we are left only with 8 by 9 in the left hand side of the equation, right? Now taking this to the right hand side with cross multiplication, so we can say expense in 2018 is rupees 24 lakh into 9 by 8, right? Into 9 by 8. Okay, now 24 by 8 we can say is 3 lakhs. 3 lakhs into 9 we can say 27 lakhs. So that is it. This is how we can find it out, that the expense of the company in 2018 is 27 lakh, and this is what is the answer of this question. So this is how we can solve this wonderful question, in the within a minute, right? Okay, let's solve the next problem of the video. This question is what? It says that the price of the article first increases by 20% and then decreases by 20%, because of which the price of the article become 480. Now find the original price of the article. So guys, if you observe, this is the last concept I had taught today. This one, right, when increases by same percentage and decreases by the same percentage, right? This is the same actually. First increasing by 20% and then decreasing by 20%, and the final value of the article is given, and we need to find the initial value. All right, so we can solve in a multiple ways, right? Let's say if we are using this particular concept which I told you before, right? So when increasing by x%, then decreasing by x%, overall the decrease is of x squared by 100%. And the same example I have taken also 20%. So overall decrease is 4%, right? You can use the formula indeed. X squared by 100%. X is how much? X here is 20, right? So 20 squared upon 100, which means 400 upon 100, which means 4%, right? So overall the price will, decrease by, we can say 4%, that's for sure. Okay. Now the price decreasing by 4% and becoming 480, so we need to find the original price of the article. Guys, okay, initial value into the multiplication factor is again the final value which you can use. The final value is given to us rupees 480 as well, right? What should be the multiplication factor? See here, the decrease is 4% is the overall change, right? Now 4% we all know is 1 upon 25. So multiplication factor is 1 minus, because it's decreasing, 1 minus 1 by 25. 4% is 1 by 25, right? 1 minus 1 by 25 is 24 by 25. So this is what we can say, initial value into 24 by 25 is final value, which is rupees 480. So finally guys, we can find out the initial value, which is 480 into 25 by 24, right? So 480 by 24 is 20. 20 to 25 is 500. So this is how we can say the initial value has to be rupees 500, okay? Whereas, in fact, this is the thing which you had to find out, right? We had to find the original price of the article, which comes to be rupees 500, right? Excuse me. So we can say this has to be, the final answer of the question, which is rupees 500. Okay, so this is how we can solve this question. If guys you don't want to use this, right? So we can use the multiplication factor of successive series as well over here, right? See, first increasing by 20% is, right? So we can say the multiplication factor is 6 by 5. Then decreasing by 20%, so we can say it is 4 by 5. It should be the final value, which is given to us rupees 480. So this is also how, we can solve this question. We can say initial value is rupees 480 into 5 by 6 into 5 by 4. All right. Now guys, if you divide by 6, 480 by 6 is 80. 80 divided by 4 gives us 20, right? So initial value is rupees 20 into 5 into 5. 20 into 5 is 100. 100 into 5 is 500. So here also, we can say that the final answer is rupees 500. So either you can use this formula, or you can just use the basics of the multiplication factor to solve this particular question. Alright guys, in this series there is one more very nice question, right? The question says that the price of an article first decreases by 30% and then increases by 30%, because of which the price of the article becomes rupees 728. Now we need to find the decrease in the price of the article in amount. Okay, so guys, in the last question, almost a similar kind of question, but we had to find the original price of the article, right? And in this question, we had to find the decrease in the price of the article. We don't have to find the initial price, we have to find the decrease in the price. Okay, so almost the same way we can do that, right? So guys, either we can use the initial value to get the decrement, or there is another way as well. Okay, let me tell you all the possible methods, right? So first, let's try to find the initial value. Okay, so we can find the initial value again in both the ways which we had done in the previous question. Either we can use a formula, all right, or we can directly use the multiplication factor for both the percentage changes. Okay, so guys, if we use the formula first, according to the formula, overall there will be percentage decrease again, right? Because it's decreasing by 30% and then increasing by the same 30%. Guys, I told you, it does not matter that first is increasing or decreasing, right? Overall, it should be the same, right? Order does not matter, as we discussed in one of the examples as well, right? Okay, so overall it must decrease by x squared by 100%. X in this case is 30, so 30 squared by 100 gives us how much? That gives us 900 upon 100, which means 9% is decrease, right? So overall it must decrease by 9% with the help of the formula. So 9% decrease, so multiplication factor is what? 9% fraction, you can say just 9 by 10. All right, so 1 minus 9 by 10 is 9 by 100, my mistake. 9% is 9 by 100, so multiplication factor is 1 minus 9 by 100, has to be 91 by 100, right? So initial value into 91 by 100 has to be the final value, and the final value in this case is how much? The final value is rupees 728, right? Okay, so we can say initial value is 728 into 100 by 91, right? Okay, now 91 is a factor of 728. 728 by 91 is actually 8. So 8 into 100 will give us 800, right guys? So this is how we can find the initial value. We can find the initial value with the successive percentage change as well. How? Okay, let's say first decreases by 30%, so initial value into 7 by 10, right? 30% is 3 by 10, 1 minus 3 by 10 is 7 by 10. Then increasing by 30%, so we can say it is 13 by 10, right? 1 plus 3 by 10 is the final value, all right? Final value is how much? 728. Okay, now we can say initial value is 728 into 10 by 7 into 10 by 13, all right? Now guys, 728 by 4 we can say is how much? That should be 104, right? 104. Now 104 upon 13 we can say is 8. Now 8 into 10 is rupees 800, okay? So we can say the initial value is 800 and the final value is 728. So guys, what is the decrease? Very obvious, right? The decrease is 800 minus, 728, which is, we can say is how much? Okay, that is 72 rupees, right? We can say the overall change is 72, right? You can in fact, cross check if the initial value is 800, right? So what is, you can say 9% of 800. So 1% of 800 is 8, 9% should be 8 into 9, 72. Yes, 72 decreasing to become 728, very obvious, right? Okay, so yes guys, the overall decrease we can say is, 72 rupees. Okay, we can do this in one more way, by the way. Okay, so you can use that method as well. Let me show you this. Okay, one thing is sure, with the help of the formula, or we can do any other way, right? One thing is sure that overall it is decreasing by 9%. Let's say by the help of the formula, this formula, we can say it is decreasing by 9% in all, right? So guys, the final value should be how much? All right, the final value in terms of the initial value, we can say, because it's decreasing by 9, so we can say 100 minus 9, that means 91% of the initial value, all right? We can say final value is 91% of the initial value. You have to find the decrease in the price of the article in terms of the amount, right? So what should be the decrement, all right? The decrease or decrement. So we can say the decrement is 9%, and I'm sure you all remember that percentage increase or decrease is always calculated with respect to the initial value. So amount of decrement is, we can say 9% of the initial value, right? Now guys, the final value is given to us how much? 728, right? So we can say 91% of initial value is 728, and we need to find the amount of decrement, which is 9% of the initial value, right? So 91% of initial value is 728, so we need to find 9% of initial value, right? So 91, luckily it's again, cancel out. Remember we did here as well. 728 by 91 is actually 8, right? So with this we can say that 1% of the initial value is, we can say 8 rupees, okay? 1% is 8 rupees. So what is 9% is? Since 1% is rupees 8, so 9% has to be 8 into 9, which we can say is 72, right? So guys, the amount decrement, in terms of the amount, we can say is rupees 72, and that has to be, we can say the final answer in this particular way as well. So guys, we have done this in 3 methods, right? 1, 2 and 3. So you can use any of the methods, whichever you find the best, right? Whichever suits you the best, right? You can use that particular method. All right. So this is, all for this video. So guys, we have covered the concept of successive percentage change in detail in this particular video. There are a few more things, few more important concepts are left for percentages, which we'll cover in the next session. And also very soon we'll start, the session, the concept of profit and loss as well. All right, so this is all for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Whatever you felt, if you like it, if you want to give us any kind of feedback, write in the comment, right? If you want us to start anything else, if you want, you want us to cover any other concept or topic, then also you can write in the comment. Till then, keep studying, keep practicing. Take care. Bye-bye.